Let's have a closer look at what we learned from the French Grand Prix 2022. Teams brought lots of updates and there's a lot to talk about. Let's start with Red Bull. They changed their previous double bargeboard design to a larger gap between the outside strakes. Drivers complained about too much understeer on Friday, and the front tires overheated and wore out too quickly as a result. Red Bull could improve the setup and was competitive again to take another victory. Ferrari lost lots of points again due to strategy and driver errors, but that gave us a good look at their latest floor. They now opened the entry to the floor even more and slimmed down the center section to get more air underneath the car. Interesting is also that their side ramp is now gone. In terms of plank wear, we can see that the floor is touching the ground evenly biased between front and rear. Mercedes brought updates to nose inlets, floor edge and front corner, but they didn't perform as expected. In the race, Mercedes could still collect lots of points due to their reliability and good strategy. McLaren brought a huge update package including new sidepods, new diffuser and floor edges. Back in February, when the McLaren was presented, I pointed out that I don't quite understand their bodywork concept. They didn't have large sidepods to keep the front rear wake outboard, they didn't have downwashing sidepods to drag clean air to the beam wing, and they also didn't have a large undercut to guide the air to the back. Now, McLaren fixed exactly that and joined the club of large downwashing sidepods. The team was surprised by the good performance of this update and took a huge step forward. But it still wasn't enough to keep Alpine behind them. Alpine used the large downwashing sidepod concept from the very beginning and now constantly fine-tuned the concept. Also in France, where they brought updates to the floor edges and changed their sidepod shape slightly. Back in February, I mentioned that having large sidepods might be a good idea because teams cannot use the bargeboard area to push the front rear wake outboard like in previous years. At the same time, teams want to get as much clean flow to the beam wing and the rear corners, which you can either do with downwashing sidepods or a large undercut. But a large undercut doesn't push the wake outboard as radically as a large downwashing sidepod, so the potential with downwashing sidepods is higher. 7 of the 10 F1 teams started the season with large sidepods. Only Mercedes, McLaren and Williams chose small sidepods like in previous years. Mercedes and Williams with downwash, McLaren without. Until now, McLaren and Williams both changed to large downwashing sidepods. Only Mercedes kept their mini sidepod design, which has the potential to deliver more energy to the back, but it also creates additional problems that are hard to solve, even for Mercedes. If you want to know more about this, check out my other video in the description. Of the 2 teams with large sidepods and undercut, both changed their concept. Aston changed to large downwashing sidepods too, and Alfa Romeo has their own unique aero solution, as always. So in summary, we can say, if you want a competitive car, it's a good idea to go for large downwashing sidepods with a straight bluff sidewall for as long as possible, and at the same time a downwards sloping surface on the inside, which creates this bobsleigh sidepod shape that Ferrari used from the very beginning. Furthermore, it's a good idea to get as much air as possible underneath the car, so to have a large inlet and slimmed down center section. McLaren, on the other hand, intentionally guides air above and around the sidepods instead of using the flow underneath the car. To reduce bouncing and making the car more drivable, teams have perforated strakes in front of the rear wheels to avoid the floor from touching the ground. Teams also adapted to a more gentle vertical diffuser expansion. And like before 2014, the low energy air from the engine compartment should be guided between beam wing and rear wing. We will probably see these concepts being adapted and fine-tuned by all teams in the future, and solutions to keep the wake outboard and dragging more clean air downwards will become more extreme. If you want to know more about the specific design details of 2022 F1 cars, check out my other videos in the description. How do you like the 2022 F1 season so far? Let me know in the comments below.